Hello, so I'm just going to make a part 2 to the natural law video I made earlier in relation to sexual ethics, and I realised after I watched that video I'd gone over the positive points to natural law and how it relates to sexual ethics, but I didn't really consider any of the negative points, so I thought I'd just make a part 2 just talking about some of the negatives of it, and you probably only find this interesting if you're actually studying natural law and in relation to a college course or something like that, or if you have an interest in abstract subjects and ethics. But yeah, okay, so how is natural law inept at dealing with sexual ethics? I guess you could say that it doesn't take into account homosexuality under the reign of natural law or the principles of natural law. Sex is only for procreation because that's the purpose of genitalia. We have genitalia so we can have sex and procreate and fulfill the primary precepts of reproduction, and yeah. So so that means sex isn't just for pleasure. So that means that you can't have sex with someone of the same sex, because then you're having sex for pleasure, and that deviates away from what the purpose of sex actually is. But then again, and we could argue that natural law has got that wrong, because sex gives us pleasure, so why shouldn't we be able to reap the benefits of that? It's clearly not just for reproduction, and perhaps you could make the argument that it's an evolutionary thing, that we're more likely to have sex if we get pleasure from it, and then that benefits the species, but it doesn't provide an explanation for homosexual tendencies or inclinations to have sex with people of the same sex. It doesn't allow you to do that, and that's basically because what is good is only that which fulfills its purpose, and what is bad is that which deviates away from its purpose. And if the purpose of sex is procreation, then you can't have sex for pleasure, whether you're heterosexual or not, and that seems to take away from part of the human experience. But then again, I did say earlier that perhaps having sex for pleasure, it allows for casual sex, and that can mean one night stands, and that can mean an increase in STDs, STIs, things like that. So yeah, I guess there's one negative. I haven't really thought of any others. That one just came to mind earlier. Yeah, so I guess that's one of the negatives. It doesn't take into account homosexuality. I probably should have made a list, thought this through beforehand, but I just decided to spontaneously make the video after having a thought about one example of how natural law fails in relation to sexual ethics. Yeah. Yeah, so it doesn't take into account sex for pleasure. It doesn't take into account sex for just gay sex. It doesn't take into account. I don't know. I feel like I need to revise the sexual ethics topic before I can actually apply natural law properly, because I'm probably missing out some really important things. Like, I think overall natural law is a good approach to dealing with sexual ethics and ethics in general. Because it's sort of like if we take this in a sociological context, it's like functionalism. It focuses on the logos and logic and promoting order in society. It's not just something that suggests that everything is a trivial social construct whereby we can create our own rules. It's going off something traditional, something that seems to have a basis in reality, and I guess that is the logos. It's the ability to live rationally and in a way that's not only conducive to our own prospering, but conducive to the prospering of society, and in order for society to prosper, the individual also has to prosper, and in order for the individual to prosper, they have to do certain things and fulfill certain roles in order to, I guess, like become a cog in the machine almost. And if you'd asked me that a year ago, I would have been extremely opposed to the idea, because I used to be really left wing and in support of Marxism, but I've educated myself a little bit more on the topic, and I've figured out that utopian visions don't really work. And yeah, I don't really know what else to say about natural law, so I'm just talking about other things. But yeah, so I think natural law is good in that context. It seems to, I guess, it has the good of society at heart, and it's not just about fulfilling our own selfish needs. It's about promoting the wider good. And I guess that this is partially due to Aquinas adopting it and giving it a religious twist almost, whereas Aristotle, he didn't really take a religious approach, and neither did, I don't think the Stoics did neither, to natural law, and then it got changed. Yeah, but even Aquinas, he doesn't say it's completely, the way that he talks about it, it's like an atheistic person is able to use natural law because it's a reason-based process. We use our rational mind in order to work out what's good, and the primary precepts are a guide, the things that we should work towards, because yeah, they're almost like a set of rules. They're like a written representation of the logos. Yeah, and then the individual obviously has to do their part in fulfilling that, and that works altruistically for others. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. If I think of any more points about natural law in relation to sexual ethics, which I'm unable to think about right now, I'll make another video on it. But yeah, thanks for watching.